Dave.
John.
Shane.
Chad.
These Sci-Fi Guys.
Beyond the big screen.
Welcome to these Sci-Fi Guys, and we are doing another Beyond the Big Screen. This week, we are, if you watched our last episode, you'll notice everything was all about John because it was his birthday. Well, we kind of went back to normal where we had our own name. But
well deserved that day. Well deserved.
It was well deserved. But we are doing this week. We're doing, of course, if you heard them in the background, for those of you on audio, this is all about Shane and John, our Padawans, watching some TV show pilots for the first time. And this week they watched Stargate SG-1. Yeah. All right. Let me take this off here and start with the questions for you guys. Okay, what was your immediate reaction after watching the pilot? What did you like or dislike?
I loved it. I'll be honest with you. It really did not feel like just a TV pilot. It felt like a cinematic movie. I'll be honest. All the elements with the characters. I loved having the guy, the main character, and how they referenced him as how they referenced him as playing the oh shit, I can't think of the show, Dave. We were talking about MacGyver. Yes. Yes. As I referenced that, I loved it. Really a great cast. I thought they had great chemistry. Really good music. We can talk about that too. I just thought it was a great show. I enjoyed the pilot.
Hey, there you go. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed it. There's one major issue I had with it, which I'll talk about in just a second, but I'll hit the highlights of what I liked first. I agree with the cinematic feel. Love that to death. And truthfully, I love that you can. The best way I know how to put it, and this is genuine though, I love that it was very 90s, early 2000s show. Like graphics, general camera quality, a lot of that. I was like, yeah, this is very, like, you can just tell it was made in that time. And I specifically think that because it looked a lot like the Ninth Doctor's run on Doctor Who. So it was very, very similar in feel to that. And the only real issue I had with it, and I get where it lands in terms of it's a part of a series, it felt a little slower paced for me. And that's where I had an issue, because once it got going, I was hooked and I was good with it, but it took a while for me to be like, okay, I'm really into it. And I know it's, it's from the movie side as well, but man, it just took a second for it to get rolling for me. But once it did, I was enthralled.
All right. So which characters are you most curious about so far?
Let's see now. By the end of it, I was very curious about names. This is going to be a problem for this series. No.
What you're asking?
No. The child who got kidnapped, basically.
Skara.
Yes, him. I'm very curious to see what he grows into now. I mean, he seemed pretty chill and outgoing to begin with, but that plus powers is interesting. Tialk, who you just mentioned, I don't know, man. Just his quote unquote turn into just his straightforward attitude. He seems like he's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm definitely down to hear more about him.
I agree. I think the Tilk character is the one that really kind of caught my attention, just because of his which it seemed like, if you're just watching the pilot, it was a very quick turn from being on the side of Raw to the side of the main characters. So it seemed pretty quick, but he seems like he's going to be a very, very interesting character moving forward, and is going to have a big part to play in a lot of this too.
Okay. All right. So was the cast interaction with each other a good mix?
I thought they gelled very well. You could tell that and part of this of course probably was how they wrote the script and how just the characters meshed together. But I thought it was very good. I thought they each had a very defined character, and I just think it worked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in wholehearted agreement there. I didn't really see any major issues with any of the characters. Even, I guess, technically some of the newbies brought in for the show, right? Even they meshed well with their background characters, main characters. It doesn't matter. They slid in, they fit well, and they moved on and drove the plot along. And ultimately, that's all you want your characters to do. And they rolled with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So what did you think of the look of the show? So like the effects, sets, costumes. Just remember when this was aired, did you think what did you think of the special effects? Especially, let's just say, how about they call it the kawoosh.
The kawoosh.
Kawoosh, because that's kind of the sound it makes. Kawoosh.
I'll say that's the sound of it. That's onomatopoeia. It works well.
Yeah.
Again, I found everything very endearing, and it wasn't necessarily, especially for the time, but also even now. Like if you had a weekly running show, not a streaming show but syndicated. I mean, I think the graphics would still hold up, assuming the quality moved over to HD. And really, even then, for the time, even it was like Shane said, cinematic quality, and so I see no qualms there. The portal effect was real nice, and overall the graphics weren't too bad. The sets wonderful. I love the visual effects they also tossed in. Although I hate the little thing that crawls out of the stomach that gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Gold.
Yeah, did not like.
I didn't like that at all. Even foregoing the part we talked about, that specifically just it. Ugh. So they did a wonderful job on visual effects. So I think it was a good mix as well. The costuming and all with them, representing even different historical cultures, I think went very well. So I mean, again, no real qualms there. It's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. None of it felt like cheap or low budget to me. None of it did. It really felt like it fit very well, and it did very much have a cinematic quality. Even how they did the portal did not look like cheap. Excuse me, it did not look like cheap a CGI or anything. It really felt, for the most part, it felt real, and it felt bigger than just a pilot.
Well, they reuse that kawoosh like all the time because I don't know if you noticed it or not. At one point, they were supposedly walking up the steps, and then the kawoosh happened, but there was no one on the stand when it happened. And then next thing you know, they go up the steps. They just kind of reuse that same shot over and over again. But they use that prop in they use that prop a lot. The actual Stargate itself. But anyway, I'll get into that in a little bit. So, do you want to watch the next episode?
Yes.
Here's my problem. You keep showing me good shows, and I only have 3 weeks of summer left. And as good as these shows are, now I have to choose. And see, I'll have to choose some to watch during the school year. But at this point, that's still going to be an issue because these are long-running shows for the most part.
Yeah, this was on 10 seasons.
Yeah, so like you're making me play catch up on some good shows, which is also an issue because I still have other shows I'm trying to watch now. So to answer your question simply, yes, I want to watch the next episode. It's just problematic because I don't know that I'll be able to watch the next episode because I have other next episodes to watch.
Prioritize them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
ADHD doesn't work with that, Shane.
I feel you there. I feel you.
Okay, so after watching this, where do you see the series going?
I am very intrigued by how they are going to find the character of Raw and his little goons. I'm very intrigued to see that. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of passion behind it because it is Dr. Daniel. I can't think of his last name. His
Jackson.
wife. Say again.
Jackson.
Yes.
Daniel Jackson.
Yeah. So his wife and also the other Stargate officer. So there's going to be a lot of passion behind it, and I think there's going to be a lot of. They really set it up to where it is a very strong military strategy as far as finding them, hunting them down, and everything. But there's also going to be some scientific elements with Dr. Jackson as well. So I'm very interested to see where they go as far as how do they track these down.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I definitely see this being, and here I think it's going to be less campy, I guess, than some of the other shows we've watched, if that makes sense. It's a lot more serious, I feel like, and also feel like it's more episode to episode driven in terms of, it actually connects a little more. Whereas, the past couple shows we've watched have been more like, you watch this episode, if you don't watch it in conjunction with the others, like the others will still kind of make sense. Whereas this one, I feel like you would have to watch it in series. So I think from that aspect, I think I feel like it'll be more like this season is about this story next season. And so it looks like they'll go through all the gates that they found, probably find some more along the way. And as they go, just try to rescue. I think overall it feels like one big rescue mission for all these people that keep getting abducted. And I think that's probably the overarching theme from what I can gather. But it definitely feels like it's more, I guess, series driven and as opposed to episodic driven, which I think we may have talked about the last Beyond the Big Screen. But I definitely saw that, and I can see where it's building up one big story while collecting all these little stories along the way.
Okay. All right. What questions did the pilot leave you with?
Plenty.
Yeah.
Where are they going next? Who are they rescuing? Who's going to get in trouble? Who's behind all of this? Why do the gates exist still? Did that ever get answered fully, or did it just pop up and we still don't know?
One specific question that I have is, how is the characters of the Colonel and also Dr. Daniel Jackson, how are they going to mesh? Because it really related to from the actual movie, really related to how they liked each other, they got along and everything, but you could tell there was a little bit of friction there. And I think that as they kind of come back and as they're trying to find where these people are and finding the portals, I think there could be some additional tension there. So I'm kind of looking forward to see where that goes and how that kind of gels moving forward.
I think that's a good question.
I really thought y'all were going to ask a question about Kowalski. I really did because the very end of the episode, he had glowing eyes.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because he got the thing.
So I'm very surprised y'all didn't ask a question about that. But yeah, the next episode, actually, they don't even go through the gate. I'll go ahead and tell you that it's all about Kowalski. And they were thinking that Teal'c didn't have his symbiote, and it was in Kowalski. So, but it wasn't.
Okay.
It was another one, and they kind of go back and throw some of the back stuff back into it, and all that. But I know you. John said he's so busy, so I wanted to at least give you a little taste. There are some rough episodes in season 1. I can tell you the first three, well, the pilot and the next one with Kowalski were good. And then like 3 or 4 in a row were like, oh, really? This is the best.
Yeah, that's how first seasons go.
Yeah. They really found their footing in season 2. Season 2, the end of season 1, season 2, there's some really dynamite episodes. There's a lot of very thought-provoking episodes. You end up meeting aliens. You end up meeting all kinds of stuff. The Gould are not just Apophis. Apophis is just one of the system lords. You will end up meeting literally 10 more. I don't know.
wow.
A bunch. All right. You will meet all kinds of system lords.
Got it.
And most of them go back to Egypt mythology. There are some in there that go into the Chinese mythology even. So yeah. So
Okay,
it's
that's interesting.
really, really quite fantastic. They like I said earlier, it did 10 seasons. I didn't ask the question. I meant to ask the question. Well, would you be upset if one of the major characters left the show?
At this point, it depends on the character. I don't think if you necessarily are just watching the pilot, I don't think you would be as invested in some of them.
Mhm.
Now, I think obviously your main characters like Colonel O'Neill and things like that, yes, you would obviously, but some of the side characters, even like the a Kowalski character, maybe even him really, but I think your main characters you would, but I think it would take more time for it to really hit home if one of them left.
I don't think I would miss many of these characters in the sense of if they were well written exits, I think I would be fine with anybody kind of being off. Just because I think the nature of the show and the more serious tone, I think it's more set up to happen, whereas you're not relying on the main cast to remain the same cast so long as there's still a story to move on. And I don't think there would be an issue with that. And so for me, I don't necessarily think I would miss any of the main cast unless they were just written off poorly.
Okay. All right. Well, I know you guys always are like, go ahead, tell us about it so we can kind of get a gist of the thing. It was on for 10 seasons. It spawned 2, I guess you could say 3 sequels. Stargate Atlantis, where basically they're in an entire another galaxy. Then there is Stargate Universe, where basically they end up on a ship. Not the same crew now. This is not the same group.
Mhm.
This is a totally different group. This is Atlantis, a totally different group in Universe. And then they did one that was called Origins, which was basically beforehand.
Mhm.
But a lot of people hated Origins. I hated it because it basically took away from what the movie and what SG-1 had already made as canon. So to me, I was like, okay, no, it doesn't need to go there.
Gotcha.
Richard Dean Anderson, Amanda Tapping is in basically all 10 seasons. So is Christopher Judge. He's the one that was Teal'c. Richard Dean Anderson was in all. He was in every episode up till season 7. He did all those. Season 8, he started throttling back his acting because he wanted to spend more time with his family.
Mhm.
So, and then they replaced him in season 9 and 10. He still pops in for an occasional cameo. So it's not like, basically they promoted him out of the job. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. So they were able to, he's still there. So, yeah, he ends up being a general later on. Daniel Jackson leaves the show. How can I explain it to you? They find out about the ancients, the ones who built the Stargates. They do find out about them. And basically what happened to them is they're all gone is because they had been able to ascend to a higher plane of existence, right? So they can watch everything that goes on in life, but they're not allowed to do anything about it.
Okay.
Well, Jackson was dying and was able to ascend. So he was gone for a season. Well, during that season, Jack and others got into a lot of issues, and Jackson couldn't help himself but to help them. So And the next season after that, I think it was season 6 is when he left. And then season 7, basically the ascended being said, you helped them too much. You've got to go back. Your punishment is you're going to be human again. Boom. So they threw him back down. So yeah, then from then on, he was on for the rest of the show. Seasons 9 and 10, they added 2 characters from Farscape, basically. So then they started nicknaming it. Now it's Fargate. They started nicknaming the show because it was the 2 major characters from Farscape are now 2 major characters on Stargate.
Gotcha.
Stargate Atlantis again was you'll see Samantha Carter leaves eventually and becomes commander out there on Stargate Atlantis for a season, and then realizes, no, I don't want to do this, and comes back. Or I don't remember how she left that show, but I think she became a commander of one of the ships or something. But yeah, you'll get to meet. There's a lot of folklore, like Roswell, Area 51. The little green men, you actually meet the little green men that they had there. They're called Asgards. So yeah, you'll get to meet them, and it's really neat. The Shara and Daniel keeps searching for her for like 3 or 4 seasons. And I don't remember how. I think something happened. I think she ended up dying finally. But in real life, Daniel was married to her in real life. Michael Shanks met her on Andromeda. He did a special guest star on Andromeda before that, and she was like one of the main characters on it. And then they just met, fell in love, and I know they've got a daughter. I don't know if they're still together or not, but
That's
yeah. Christopher Judge is he is the voice. He did a lot of voice acting. He was God of War, the video game. He did a ton of someone named Kratos. Kratos, yeah, and all the God of War stuff. That's him. That's him,
okay.
Basically. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. Again, this is my favorite TV series of all of them, just because, like John said earlier, it's very down to earth. It felt real.
Yeah.
When it came to the way they did their videography, the way they things made sense. In other words, they struggle with stuff. They don't always get everything right the first time. There's one point where they get stranded. They go through a Stargate, and then they're like, oh, the DHD's there, great. And then when they get on the other side of it, it's been smashed.
Oh gosh.
So they have no way to get home. So it's trying to figure that out. They find those little the little wormy snake things. There is a good group of them called the Tok'ra that they sort of have a good relationship with. They still don't trust them because they're Goulds. So, but they help out in a lot of ways. You'll find out a lot of that stuff in there if you keep watching it. So, I think that's enough info right now because there's just too much to pack into.
I would say it's a long series.
24 minutes that we've already been on. So, so yeah, I mean, it's again, it's my favorite. I mean, I've watched all of Star Trek. I've watched all the Next Generation and Battlestar Galactica and even ones that we haven't even come up with yet. I mean, I'm in the middle of watching the Ark right now, and a fun one I'm watching right now that I forgot about that I watched first season of and I didn't see the second was Avenue 5, I think it is. It's got the Dr. House from House. He's cool. Like the main character on it, but he's like just an actor. He's like the ship's captain, and now the ship starts having all these problems, and he's like, it's on autopilot. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just here as an actor, So, and all the shenanigans that goes on with that. It's actually pretty funny. So anyway, All right. Anybody out there, if you guys want to email us, TheseSciFiGuys@gmail.com. You can find us on the social media networks at TheseSciFiGuys. I'm not going to put the picture up here because I didn't make one. So, because it's like the end of the day. I still have a little bit more cleaning because we have a bunch of people coming over for the 4th of July tomorrow. So I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, oh that's right. But anyway, the next one we're gonna do, and we're gonna do it for the 4th. We're not gonna record on the 4th, but it's our 4th of July special because we've done Independence Day, we've done Independence Day Resurgence, and I don't remember what we did. What else we've done? I know we've done a couple of Independence Days, and we did something else for 4th of July. But for this year, we're gonna go and do Captain America, the first event.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go back to the original. So, and then how he gets his super serum and then gets frozen in ice and loves Peggy and all that good stuff. So, well, that's it. Anybody, you guys got anything else you want to?
Not really.
Not really.
I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. Well, until next time.
Crash and burn.
The Sci-Fi Guys is an independent broadcast by the Sci-Fi Guy Productions. For more information on upcoming episodes, follow us on Twitter or X at the Sci-Fi Guys. For our audio-only listeners, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, subscribe, or leave a comment to let us know how we're doing.